Hey there, folks. Time once again to do some retro CSS battles. They are from CSSBattle.dev from the 19th, the 20th, and the 21st of October 2024. Let's make some objects. Let's figure out what it would take to do these shapes. All right. I think this guy definitely is in the let's do it all on the background. I think it would be tricky to do this one using an element, and just saying that out loud makes me think, oh, let's do it as an element too, or how many elements we would need. So let's do it the regular way first. We want a circle, right? A radial gradient that's got purple in the middle and it's transparent next, and then purple on the outside. So that's what that looks like. We need the keyword circle, circle, and then we need to set color stop. 40 pixels, 0, 100 pixels, 0, and I don't know if those sizes are right. The 100 pixels looks right, 40 is wrong, 60, there we go. And then what do we need to do that shape? To me, I always appreciate a conic gradient, and I'm actually going to do it on the top level first, just because I want to get the sizing right. So conic gradient, and it's mostly yellow, 75% around, or 270 degrees worth of yellow, and then 0, and then a comma. So that's what that looks like. If I make it at a width at 20 pixels width, 30, 40, something like that. That's probably 40 wide. And then I move it. I can then move it over to something like that. So now I'm going to move that to be the layer below, right? Think of this as like layers in a drawing program. There it is. But 200 is too much. 180, 175, and then the center of that is a little too big. 30, no, 40, 50. And that's one way to do that shape. Let's submit and make sure we're at 100% match. And that's that's fine. Minify, unit replace, submit. What if I wanted to do it as an element with borders? So this is that's a good score. So let's blank template again, and this time we're going to do border solid orange. No, yellow. It's mostly yellow, and then we need 30 pixels or something like that. That's how that looks. I'm going to set margins to be nothing there, and I'm going to do margin 30 auto. So what that does is centers this guy. So when I put an aspect ratio on him and say, hey, I want you to be a perfect square, that's what I get. To make it a circle, I want a border radius of 50%. That's how you get a circle. Great. So what good is that? Well, I want to put purple on the body. That top margin is not enough. 40, 50, something like that. So there. Now, that orange bit, I haven't forgotten about it, I swear. Here we go. We want... So it's wider, right? We gotta make it wider. 140? Ah. Yes. But also, no. I think that border is in 40 pixels. Or is it 20? No, it's 40. So that means we need to adjust because we're not using, well, if I do, so this is why box sizing, border box is so useful. You can set, that hard width. But that's not what we want at all. We want to change that size, 120. So 120 is the inner. So we get that like that. So we have an orange part there. And even though we could set the border color differently, we could do border color. You can set individual border colors. Did you know that? I don't know if you can hear the work outside my apartment. It's kind of a bummer. So you can kind of do that. That's kind of cool, but that's not the shape at all, right? You can do multiple colors for border color. You can play around with that. If I did, red, look at that. That's fun. That's a fun shape. It's a, what is it? It's a life ring, life preserver on a boat, but useless to me for this purpose. So how do I get that little chunk, that little curved chunk with an element? Well, the way I would first think to do it is to make another one of these and then clip path out a piece of it. So the second P, and again, sorry for the grinding noise, if I set this color as a variable var, color is defaults to yellow, and then I say, hey, I want that to be the orange. Now we can't see anything yet. Why? Well, become obvious in a second. Var, we're going to set that. We're going to have the top margin be a variable. Var m, comma 50, and then I'm going to put a negative top margin minus 200. There he is. Look at that. Great. 2, 20, 30, 40, 50. Lo and behold, it's probably the same height as the object, but now it's all orange. But if I do a clip path, and have it be rect, which would be, if I remember the clip path syntax, and I'm going to actually put a background on it so I can see the darn thing. Background, we'll do black. There it is. Okay, so clip path rect, if I do 0, 0, 50 pixels, 50, is that the syntax? No, is it space? I can't remember. 100, 100. Do I not remember the rectangle syntax? I don't remember the rectangle syntax. Is it 0? Boy, I don't really showing. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay, so what are the numbers again? 0 to 100. So it starts at 0, goes to 100, and then so it's the top point 0 and 100, and then 200 and 0. So if I do 50, 100. So let's increase these numbers. 20, so 0. So again, this is what do they call it? Vibe coding, right? Like I don't know how the thing works, but I'm just going to keep trying. 50, 140. Okay. Let's get these numbers right, for goodness sake. 130, 125. Okay, and then this number probably needs to go up 20 pixels. 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. No, 75, of course. Let's take off that background. And then there you go. So rect. I'm used to doing a polygon, so I did rect to challenge myself, and I flailed. Sorry about that. It's but it's 4 points, and you just play with the numbers to see. Yeah, but clearly you got to like visualize what are these numbers doing. So whatever those numbers are, there it is, and I could do it's probably something like 50%. No, I can't. Yeah, 125 is the extent of it. But that's another way to do it. Oh, whoops, and I broke the, there it is. Unreplace, minify, and that's another solution. Now I got margins in there that are not very efficient, but I said I would do it a different way, and so I did it a different way, and so that satisfies me. All right, next. What do we got? The lozenge in the middle says this is a border radius-y thing in the middle, radius. radius, probably 40 pixels or something. And his background color is like this. I'm going to put margins on him to limit his size. Let's put a background on there too, the correct background color. And now we'll shape him, like mold him like clay. 105, yeah, 105, and then his height is 90, maybe. Let's see, 90. There it is, 90, 100, 30, 25, 26, 27, and that border radius would be 50. All right, so that's how you get the lozenge in the middle. And my inclination is a conic gradient, as I pointed out in the last one. So just, again, to challenge myself, I will do a linear gradient instead, which is going to be that, and then that. Okay. And it's going to be like 100 pixels over, probably 120, and at 0. And then have a width of 100 pixels, and then a height of like 200 pixels, and then repeat only on the y-axis, something like that. So that's my mess there. And is that half of? No, it's not. Like I was going to say 50%, but it might be 40% as the color stop. Yeah, kind of. Not really. I have the height wrong, right? Height is 210, 215, 39, 38, 37, 39, how about 40? 39.5. Yeah, that's all right. 3, 4, 5. 155, and then the width is 90. Okay, and then I put a background color on that, and that's how you make that shape. Let's see if it's 100% match. I'm not totally sure it is. And, you know, 39.5%, not a great number. How about 100 pixels? Let's do that. Or 80 pixels. Or 90. Or 85, whatever the number is. There it is, 85 pixels, and that's probably better than, you know, 80 point blah percent. Submit, and that's a solution to that guy as well. Probably would not choose to do a lozenge shape as just gradients on the body, because it's just a little bit easier to deal with. You can do circles, pure circles, and you can do pure ovals, but a rounded rectangle is a kind of a different shape. There are techniques to round paths that I don't know off the top of my head. I'm not going to attempt to challenge myself with that. Let's view replacement if I submit, and that's a solution. That's 100% match, I think. Yeah, still 100% match. Okay, and then lastly, this guy here. Speaking of ovals, let's do the blank template, and I'm gonna clobber. I know I can do the lozenge. Can I do the oval? Let's do the oval on the background. I'm probably going to regret this, but maybe I can. What's the word? Manifest a better result. So if I do just those two things and do 50 pixels 0, it's going to adhere to the it's obeying what the shape of this size of the body. So right now, I mean, this body is 400 by 300. So what if I did something weird and said that the width of the body was wider? Would that misshape it? I actually don't know. So 100 VW is what the width is now. What if I did 200? No, it doesn't do that. How about if I do 200%? Nope, doesn't do that. So that's my weird idea. So instead, we'll do ellipse, which is the same again. So I believe what I want to do is alter the first number. So I want 200%, 100%, which gets a different result, but it's a little different and weird. So let's play with those numbers. 2, 3, 4. Nope. The numbers that come after, and again, sorry for the banging, the numbers that come after the ellipse size define kind of the X and Y shape of it. You can't rotate it. I don't know why I'm mentioning that now, but it still irritates me that I can't do that. But that's altering the shape. I could also do it with pixels, if I remember right. If I do 200 pixels, 100 pixels, I might be able to get something out of that. So here's 90, 80. That might work. That might work. Let's find out. Let's find out. And we're going to add a CSS selector for the paragraph tag, and we're going to do border solid that, and then like 20 pixels, something like that. Give it a height and a border radius that's smaller than the width. We'll do 40 pixels or something, and then use margins to shape that margin. I think I don't need pixel identifiers there. Yeah, so 100, 110, sorry for the banging again. 112, 130, 50. There it is. How about one? That's width looks a little heavy. How about 15? This is what I've got now. And I want the back. I do want a background. Background is that off-white. So let's make him taller. 200 and narrower by, again, squishing on him. 50, 55, 56, 57, and then a little less tall. Oh, and let's do a bottom margin of 0 so that we're not deforming that background. Because by default, this radial gradient is centered on the body, and with that bottom margin, we're pushing that body to be taller. And that's not good for us. 1.8, 1.7. That looks like it might be a match. Let's check it out. Submitting to the back end, it's 100% match. So ellipse that wasn't too painful, but it did use pixel values on all those things. Of course, my unit replacement plugin on GitHub reduces some of those numbers down. Let's minify and submit, and that's 3 solutions, multiple ways. Just because I did this one with 2 different types, it makes me want to do this with the multiple radial gradients and linear gradients to make this shape, but it's so much easier when you've got a lozenge or pill or rounded rectangle shape to use an element and then use border radius. That I'm not going to do that today. Anyway, thanks for watching. You might have seen a video that I uploaded and then I had to delete because video's hard. I was recorded the wrong screen and wasn't paying attention, and video's a bummer, man. But I like doing these videos, and I kind of like watching. Some of them I actually have rewatched and thought, oh, that guy does pretty good, and then also think, oh, boy, how do you make that typo? I don't know, it's odd like that. Video's weird. Very popular form here in 2025. But I also like blogs too. Like I like to write too. So write, make a website. Everybody's got web browsers. Make a website. It's pretty cool. But make visual stuff too. Illustrations can accompany your blog posts. All right. Bye-bye. Have a good day.